Hello everyone. Today I will show a short tutorial using PHP, HTML and JavaScript how to create a progress bar in PHP and HTML and JavaScript. Originally it was a blog post in my blog, but recently due to some internal matters my blog was stopped, and so I decided to create some of them as video tutorial and upload to YouTube. So let's start seeing it. At first I will show you the output, how it will be the final display. I have one server installed in my machine, and there is a file called progress.php in my one server. Just progress.php, and this will be the output. Okay, sometimes you may see that some websites show some waiting symbols, some animation, GIF images, but according to me those images are a bit less helpful and annoying also to some extent. Instead of this, if we can show some real process, actually what is happening behind the user on the server, it will be rather helpful to the user will understand that actually it's processing. Otherwise user will think the page may get stuck or something. So how to create this progress bar as the user interface when some process is going on behind the server? Let's take a look on the file. Unfortunately I cannot give you this PHP file. It was uploaded on my blog, but if you want to copy it, you can pause the video and you can copy the source codes. This is not pretty much big file actually. This is only 66 lines of code. Yes, I'll explain it bit by bit. At first I did not create a separate style sheet for this. There's pretty less style actually. As you saw already, there is nothing much on the screen, just a progress bar, some colors and some text. So I don't need a separate style sheet for that, but if you can create, if you want to. In the style sheet there is two IDs as progress and division with ID information. We'll see in a moment what that division and these parts are, but those styles are not really that much important. The progress bar background color and width and border style and margin, I have set all those. You can customize it as you want, but what is the actual part that's showing the progress bar? This starts from this, in the body part of this HTML. In the body part there are mainly two things. One is division with ID progress, and another is division with ID information. I have just styled those elements inside the style part in the header. So now the PHP part, which is responsible for showing that progress bar. Let's say we want 40 iteration, 40 steps to show the progress bar. It depends on the actual field you are going to use this progress bar. It may be 400, it may be 4, it may be anything. I have just for example I have shown 40, and for waiting for showing that progress bar, I need a loop also. In real life there are many problem comes when you have to use a loop which takes a long time to complete, say 10-20 seconds. So in that case you have to use that progress bar that will show the output on the screen when there is nothing much to display for the user. So first of all, as 40 iteration I will show, I have taken a variable total with 40, and I have created a loop that starts from 1 and goes up to 40, so it will show 40 iterations. A simple for loop is that. Now I have taken another variable called percent. This percent is nothing but creating a percentage of that iteration by multiplying with multiplying 100 with total, and as the loop goes, say I goes from 1 2 3 4, it will create a fraction of I divided by total into 100, and it will be the percentage of actually how much amount of work is processed and how much is remaining. So percent will show the actual percentage of work that's already done. And now the tricky part, there is a bit of JavaScript. In the JavaScript portion, the basic idea is I have to set the width of the progress, set the width of the progress bar according to the percentage value that is calculated here. So I have created dynamic JavaScript in PHP. First of all, I will get element by ID. I hope you are pretty much familiar with that get element by ID function of JavaScript. That's a very common function. If you don't know it, you can Google it. In many forums and in many blog posts, you will see this function is being used. I have taken the ID progress, that means the first division, and then I have changed the inner HTML. It's also a very common thing in JavaScript. The inner HTML, we can change any portion, any division, or any parts of HTML file using inner HTML. So what's on the inner HTML? In inner HTML, I have just set a division with style of width percent. So basically the div with ID progress is the container of the progress bar, and the blue thing that you saw already going from here to here, that blue thing is the inner division. This one, inner division, that has the width, dynamic width with percentage. So it will show actually the percentage as this width. So as the loop goes on, the width will get increased and it will show a progress bar is going on. So just style width is equal to the percentage value, and I have background color equals to blue. This is color code for dark blue. You can change it as you want. And a border radius of 4 pixels, that's not absolutely necessary. For just designing and just for symmetry with that parent element, I have created this border radius, and there is nothing in this division except a space. Well, then in the second line, I have taken get element by ID, the information part. So you can skip this if you want to just show the progress bar and not this text. You already shown, I think I have already shown, I think that when the loop is under process, it shows row 1 completed, 2 completed, 3 completed, like this. So for this information, I have written this line. This takes the information division, that means the second division, and changes the inner HTML is with the text with I rows processed. As you know, I is the current value of the progress. That means when it goes from 1 to 40, it increases. I increases from 1 2 3 4 like this, and accordingly this information bar will show that 1 2 3 4 rows processed like this. So it will just give you a better information to user. Actually they will understand better how much works is processed. Say if you were going to create a long loop, then you have a fixed number of iterations, then you can show users that your work 3 of 100 work is done, or 4 of 250 work is done, like this. This will just give a better information, a better piece of information. Now the script ends and a very important point comes. If you don't know, let me provide that piece of information, that browser doesn't just show anything anytime. I mean, let me explain it better. Every browser has some limited cache size. I think I don't much remember, it varies from browser to browser, but not every browser shows the element that's currently processing. That's not just shown up. That means if you just create this loop and this progress bar, the browsers no browser will show that progress bar or information bar on the blank screen until the process is done. What I mean to say is, until the page is under process, that means the output is not completely prepared, the browser doesn't show any output until the cache size is exceeded. That means this progress bar only, this division and this information bar, it produces only small amount of output. So if the output size is less than the cache size, the output is not shown as long as the page is under process. When the page is completed, the output is shown as usual, but when the page is not completed, the browser only shows the output when its cache size exceeds. So this progress bar and information bar is not very large amount of information. So if I just create the loop, the thing I have shown till now, if I just create that thing, it will not appear at all until the page is fully loaded. So what you will see is you will just open the page, it will show loading here on this icon place. It will just show and you will see blank page until the page is loads, and when the page loading is complete, you will see the 100% completed progress bar, as the page loads after progress bar completes 100%, that means 40 iterations. So to show this progress bar on this blank screen before the page loading is complete, I have to do one very important thing, that is I have to overflow the browser cache size. That's not very difficult thing to do. What I have to do is use a PHP function str repeat that repeats the same string, the same piece of string again and again. As I don't want to show anything else except the information and the progress bar, I just use the string a blank space, and I have repeated it 1024 into 64 times. That means 64 bytes. A 64 byte is large enough for overflowing any browser's cache. For common browsers like Chrome, Firefox and Safari, 1024 into 64, that means 64 byte is long enough. If that doesn't work on your machine, you can just increase this size and it will surely work. So what you see here is not only the progress bar and this information bar, there are also some blank spaces displayed here that you cannot see. If you display some output along with that, along with this progress bar, if you produce some output, you will see that after some space from here like this, or some from here, you will see the output is produced. It will leave some blank spaces after this progress bar and information bar. You can see one thing from here, that there is a horizontal scroll here that shouldn't be here, so it just shows the spaces are there, but that's not very important thing to be concerned about, but the important thing is you have to provide it. So then after string repeat, the work is not finished. I have to do one thing, that flush buffers function. Let's see what the flush buffers do. The flush buffer using PHP's some inbuilt functions like ob start. It starts the caching flush, and end flush. End flush means ending of flush, and ob flush actually flushes the uh, information that's already stored on the cache size. As I mentioned earlier, the browser is to be ordered specially that you clear your cache and show the output for now before the page loading is complete. Otherwise, by default, browser doesn't show anything before the page loading is complete when its cache is limited. Well, ob start against then creates another cache session. So all these things I have written inside the function flush buffers, and I have just called this flush buffers. It will actually show the information, that means the progress bar and this information bar before the page loading is complete. That means when the progress bar is going on, that's I want to see, obviously. And then the body is complete, and this is the total file, I think. If you have anything to customize it, you can do it by I did it. I did pretty much experiment as well here, like using sleep function. Using sleep function, you can see the progress, the speed of the progress bar will reduced a bit, and you can better understand that output. If you want to debug and something, you can use this sleep function. So this is everything. If you have any query or suggestion, or if you find anything wrong in my tutorial, don't forget to mention in comments. So I will be pleased to know if you have any suggestion or something to say to me. Thank you.